Good evening. Welcome to the City of Joliet Pre-Council meeting for Monday, July 14th, 5:30. The Honorable Mayor Terry Darcy presiding.
Okay. We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Hug is absent. He did let me know that he would not be in attendance this evening. Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Moreno.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Rudin.
Here.
First, we have a presentation, Rialto Square Theater presentation. Wade Welsh, Bob Volato.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I was thinking about my comments tonight, I realized that our board has now been in charge of the theater for 8.5 years, and it seems like yesterday that we started on this journey. It's been both interesting and challenging, and a lot of you in the council are well aware of what we went through the last 8.5 years, but we've come through it with a lot of help and a lot of support from the city, of course, but not just financially, operationally as well. In our last issue, the asbestos issue, certainly we spent quite a bit of time with Terry and Beth, Kevin, and I want to thank them for that. I also want to thank our police chief, who I know hides in the back here. We now have uniformed officers both inside and outside of the theater, and certainly gives our patrons a sense of security. I've heard it from them. I often hear, and I hope that you hear it as well, that we have both improved greatly the quantity and quality of programming at the theater, and that is in no small part due to this guy on my right and the company he works for, VenueWorks. And so that's been a great partnership, but there's a lot of people that I could thank, and I won't go through that. I want Wade to get to the video and get through that. And I'm going to have a few comments at the end here, and then we'll take questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Wade.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. For those that don't know, my name is Wade Welsh. I'm the Executive Director at the Rialto Square Theater. Hard to believe it's been over 3 years now. So put together a quick PowerPoint presentation. The last time I was in front of the board, they had asked for some updates, what's going on at the Rialto. So just kind of wanted to share what's happened over the past 3 years. And please feel free to chime in, ask any questions as we go along here. So kicking it off with, in the past 3 years, some of the challenges that we've seen at the Rialto, from power outages to band injuries to frozen pipes to vault work to a transformer fire in April of 24 to the alley work, obviously, that this council's aware of, and obviously everything going on in Chicago Street. So a long list of challenges that we're still standing here today. So appreciate all the help from the city to help us improve in front of the Rialto, around the Rialto, and obviously also in the Rialto. The big challenge, we were just talking about it before the council meeting started. This happened almost a year ago to the day, the asbestos issue at the Rialto. So just kind of walk through everybody, the timeline, what happened, and kind of where we stand today. So the complaint was filed to the IEPA, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, back on July 25th, 2024. The complex closed August 1st and did not reopen. And what did reopen was just our admin and tenants on September 2nd. And we didn't have a show until October 22nd. You'll see on a couple more bullet points down, 7 canceled shows, 5 canceled weddings because of this asbestos issue. What happened was a third-party contractor was not removing asbestos properly. We believe, we still don't know to this day the true fact of it, we believe it was an employee that turned their contractor in, sent the pictures of the IEPA, but obviously shut us down for almost 2.5 months and caused us to clean the entire theater. When I say the entire theater, I mean the entire theater. As we stand here today, that bill for that remediation and abatement is just over $2 million that we have paid out of pocket, and obviously are currently working through litigation with our attorneys to hopefully get every dollar of that back. Things seem promising, but as you know with litigation, until there's a deal at the end, you never know. So we're still working through that. So who's coming to the Rialto? This kind of breaks down the past 3 fiscal years. We work on a fiscal calendar, July 1st through June 30th. So fiscal year 23, fiscal year 24, and what we just finished up, fiscal year 25. As you can see, from 23 to 24, we grew immensely. We were on that path in 25. if it wasn't for shutting down for 2.5 months due to that asbestos issue. So great story to tell here. As you can see, I mean, in 23, we had over 109,000 people we brought to downtown Joliet. Fiscal year 24, 140,000, and then in fiscal year 25, even with the bumps in the road, was well over 110,000 people that we brought to downtown Joliet through shows, through weddings, through other events, dance competitions, all that kind of stuff. Here's just a few of the notable shows by year that have come in. I'm sure you've heard of many of these names on here. So into the meats and potatoes financially, one thing we're very, very proud of. This is a chart, a graph, that shows since VenueWorks, the company I work for, the management company, has taken over the Rialto back in fiscal year 2017, through fiscal year 25. You can see the net operating loss profit. So the loss has shrunk year by year to the point where in fiscal year 24 was the first time we believe, and we certainly tried to scour all records and everything like that, that the theater ever made a net operating profit. So we are 100 years, as you all know, next year, first year ever, it made a net operating profit. Fiscal year 25, we probably would have also made a net operating profit. Our books aren't completely closed yet. That's our best estimate as we sit here today. But just missed it, and there's a good chance still that we might break even for fiscal year 25. So as many of you know, we receive a subsidy from the city, $475,000. Through fiscal year 23, that went to this operating line. So that includes that $475,000 through fiscal year 23. Fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 do not include that $475,000. So that $214,740 operating profit in fiscal 24 does not include that subsidy. As you guys know, the council decided to put that directly to capital improvements only. So obviously a huge win for us and a huge jump from 23 to 24, and the trend would have continued without the asbestos issue in 25, but still a great year in 25 for the team at the Rialto. Questions on the dollars and cents? Construction updates. Had a floor restoration about a year ago. We had just completed this before the asbestos issue happened. So if you've been in the Rialto recently, you've seen we got the terrazzo floors completely redone. Probably been 3 or 4 decades since those floors had been touched. Restroom renovation, obviously the big one for all of our guests. Our first floor women's and men's restrooms completely renovated to the cost of about $1 million that we got through grant dollars through the state and through the county. Women's stalls on the first floor increased from 4 to 14. Men's from 2 to 3, but urinals went from 4 to 11, and also added a family restroom. So anyone that's been in there, the bathrooms turned out absolutely fantastic. As you can see there, that stained glass window there, many people never even knew that was there. That used to be our coat check room. That had ceilings falling down, plaster all over the place, and now it's a beautiful women's restroom. One of the bigger projects, right when I came on board, our roof and masonry project. $4 million completely replaced every roof on the theater, along with some masonry work that needed to be done up there as well. This grant was provided from the state of Illinois, so replaced every roof. The big one coming up, so HVAC renovation. So our HVAC systems are held together with shoestrings and bubble gum, to say the least. We have no working thermostats in the theater. So when the air conditioning is on, it is full on, and it's like a meat locker. If you go in the theater right now, it's probably 62 degrees. Same can be said in the winter with the heat. The heat's on. There is no thermostat on that side of things. So the systems, the best we can tell, are from probably the 50s or 60s on that side of things. So obviously well past their normal lifespan on that side of things. This work was supposed to be done as we're sitting here now during the summer of 25. Due to the asbestos issue, weren't able to get the bids out because a lot of these items are long lead time items. They're specially ordered, the chillers, the air handlers, stuff like that. So we had to punt until fiscal year 26 to get this done. So the theater will be closed next June of 26 through mid-September to get all this HVAC work done, completely replacing every HVAC piece of equipment that's in the theater to get us up to speed so we can actually say, hey, we can set it at 70 degrees and it'll be 70 degrees. Future capital needs. So obviously this is where the council comes in with that $475 annually. So just a list of areas of urgent need and additional needs at the theater. So urgent needs are electrical systems, very much so like our HVAC needs, our electrical systems are very, very aged. We need to upgrade our electrical systems throughout the theater. Our terracotta facade, as you can see on the picture on the left there, they have some meshing on the building holding up that terracotta. So we need to replace that terracotta out there before it starts falling, causing issues obviously on the sidewalks and things like that. Additional needs, she's an old building, right? We need to keep it up. So comprehensive historical restoration, fire suppression system. We do not have a sprinkler system anywhere but backstage in the theater. In the year 2025, we need to have a sprinkler system within the theater. Renovate the second floor restrooms, theater seat replacement. Many of the seats in the theater are still original, so they're coming up on 100 years, as you can imagine. People have changed, size of people have changed, and we need to upgrade our seating for our guests to make them a little more comfortable seats for all of our events and shows. Similar with the stage system, our stage rigging system needs to be replaced on stage. It's original as well, so I could go on. And then green room, dressing room, admin offices, ticket office renovations. She's 99 years old, going on 100 years, and has been neglected for decades on that side of things. But we're pointed in the right direction operationally. Now we can really start to focus all of our capital dollars to get her back to where she needs to be for the next 100 years. Just a quick point about our Rialto Square Foundation. Since 2019, the foundation has raised over $500,000, which has gone directly to support dozens of projects throughout the theater. So as you can see, refurbishing the restroom, the big centennial celebration banner you see on the back of the Rialto, celebrating Route 66 and the theater. Our bathroom trailers, which when the asbestos hit, our bathrooms had been gutted already as part of the bathroom renovation. So when we opened back up, we had no bathrooms. So we had to rent trailers for the shows in October, November, and December. They paid for that. And then obviously the twin centennial mural that you see on Chicago Street in front of the theater as well. I'll let Bob talk about this with Mr. Rubens.
So one of the original Rubens brothers was Claude Barrett Rubens, commonly known as CB. And his grandson, Bob Rubens, reached out to me about 15, 16 months ago and was looking to find a home for these two pieces, actually. He currently has them in his home, and after visiting with him a couple weeks ago, I'm confident that his wife wants them out of the home. Bob's a couple years older than I am, and he has children that have no interest in them. They really just they're important to him. And it's important to him that we move them back into the Rialto where they belong. So we've agreed to designate a certain room on the second floor balcony on the north side of the theater, and we're in the process of moving them in, hopefully by September. A little bit of background, the chest is a replica, of course. There were about 10 replicas made, but the original was made for Louis XVI, King of France, and it currently the original resides just north of Paris. There's also a reproduction at the Biltmore. And the clock itself on top is a Louis XV style clock. The clock dates back to the 1880s. The lower cabinet dates back to the early 1920s. So we've had many, many conversations. Initially, Bob wanted to lend it to us. We since have changed that to a gift, and we have an agreement in place with Bob. And looking forward to have that in place and part of the 100-year anniversary next year. So really, if it's to see them as the picture doesn't do it justice. So anyway, do we have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I have had the pleasure for working with this group for the past few years as the liaison for the city. And it's remarkable to watch them work together. They're a great team together. They work well together. They get along perfectly. And when you come across adversity, you pivot and you make it work. The fact that you are coming in at possibly a level or $25,000 deficit after what you've been through this year is remarkable, and I congratulate you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. In the last couple slides that we have here, obviously we know our role in downtown Joliet. We are an economic engine that drives business in downtown Joliet, and we feel and bear that responsibility. So just shared some quotes from some of the businesses downtown about the impact that the Rialto has on their businesses. So obviously when you get a chance to look through it, had obviously Mike and Kathy from Chicago Street, the Arcus Restaurant Group, Blue Taco right across the street, and then obviously also Jen from the Chamber and Vicky from the City Center Partnership. So thank you for everything the city has done for the Rialto. It's been a crazy 3 years since I've been on board, but I definitely believe operationally we are more than pointed in the right direction. Things are very, very positive. She's just an old building that we have to continue to make sure that we take care of her on that side, and super excited to show her off next year for the 100th anniversary. Any questions?
I do have one question. Have you looked for any grants for the outside of the facade, since the historic place in Illinois? I know they have monies out there for some things like that. So
Yep, we are scouring
Yeah.
all the time, so absolutely. Right now, our focus has been on, we just secured another grant to help with the last few dollars for the HVAC project. So once we get through that, the terracotta will probably be one of the top, along with the electrical, to
yeah,
get
I
that done.
think
So
that'd be an
absolutely.
easy one to get to.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask a question, Mayor? I just have a suggestion about the very last row of seats closest to getting out the door.
Up in the
Me and-
balcony or on the main floor?
On the main floor, me
Okay.
and Dr. Liz Prodich went to see a ballet there, and we're over 6 feet tall, both of us. And we are in the very last, the very last row, like, of seats. We can escape really quickly if there was a fire. But our knees were right up against our bodies. I don't know why that last row of seats is so much more squeezed than the rest of them. But for speaking as a woman that's 6 foot tall and my friend who's over 6 feet tall, is there anything that can be adjusted just a little bit?
Yeah, the best response I can give that councilwoman is when those were put in 1926, people were a lot smaller, and that goes back to my point of when we do
Oh, I
replace the
see.
seats,
Okay.
that is certainly something we're going to address, but we have to also be very careful is not to decrease our capacity too much by creating more, there's that fine line to where shows won't come in if we go too low of a capacity and
Yeah,
stuff
well,
like
if
that.
you
But
would like me to
definitely.
come test out the seats, I would be happy to do that.
We would love that. We would love that.
Just putting it out there. Thank
We only
you.
have half the seats we have now.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Wade, congratulations on your team, and Bob Filato, your team. You're making the city of Joliet proud. And it's only going to get better with this city square when it's completed, so. Great
Appreciate
things
that.
are coming around the corner here.
Thank
So,
you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to applaud you too. I see that from 2017, where we lost 869,000 to a plus 200,000, that's $1 million swing. So great job to the leadership, and keep the momentum going. And what you do for downtown is immeasurable. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks to the whole board for showing up to support as well.
That's right.
Okay. Next, we have a presentation, the Downtown Joliet Equitable Transit Oriented Development Plan, presented by Jane Bernhard, Planning Director.
All right. Thank you. So city staff and community stakeholders have been working on the Downtown Joliet Equitable Transit-Oriented Development Plan for well over a year now. And on the agenda tomorrow night is a resolution to adopt the plan. So we thought it would be a good idea to take this opportunity tonight to visually highlight what the plan is and how we got here. So I do want to talk about how we got here. For some background information, in the 2010s, and it may even have been earlier than that, the city started acquiring parcels around what would now be the Gateway Transportation Center to facilitate the multimodal build-out of the transportation center. And the city also acquired, there's the Gateway right there. The city also acquired parcels as part of the city's commitment to IDOT to enable future high-speed rail through Joliet. And then in 2015, the Downtown Joliet plan was completed. And that plan identified the Lions Lumberyard site, which is highlighted in yellow, as a potential location for transit-oriented development plan. And that 2015 plan also identified the need for a more diverse array of housing options in our downtown. So staff, in late 2022, we had some setbacks from the pandemic, did reach out to the Regional Transportation Authority and applied for a grant that they had available at that time to evaluate development opportunities for the Lions Lumberyard site. It had been something that the city had talked about for a while. Our grant funding request was successful under the condition that the Regional Transportation Authority wanted us to look at a quarter to a half mile radius around Gateway Transportation Center. They wanted to expand the development review. So the Regional Transportation Authority, in conjunction with the city, engaged Housing Levine to prepare a conceptual development plan for the study area, and this project started in this early 2024. This is an implementation-focused plan that evaluated market conditions and recommended measures that create a diverse housing options in the downtown that are not currently available, preserve attainable housing options for existing residents, increase ridership on existing transit services, spur new investment in proximity to Gateway Transportation Center, enhance economic and cultural vitality of the downtown and surrounding area, advance mobility for residents, visitors, and transit users, and then to improve connectivity of the Gateway Center to the neighborhoods beyond. So we did both online engagement and in-person engagement. There was a project website, project email, there was a community mapping and community questionnaire survey. And for in-person engagement, we had 4 steering committee meetings. We did a series of stakeholder focus groups that occurred in April of 2024, followed up by 2 key person interviews that same day. There were numerous presentations and status updates to the City Center Partnership, as well as to our neighborhood councils. I did presentations at 2 Plan Commission meetings, and then there was 2 community open houses. The first was in June of 2024, and then the second was in May 14th of 2025. We had really great attendance at this open house. Many of you on the council were there that night, and we got really good feedback, which we did make some adjustments to the draft plan. The full draft plan was available to view that night on multiple boards that you see in some of the images there. Over 120 participants, so that was really great for the people who came there that night. So I'm going to just very briefly go over what's in the plan. So there's 8 chapters. Starts out how you would typically see in a plan. There's introduction, an overall profile of the study area, then compares that to Greater Joliet. It also outlines the engagement that went into the plan. And then chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6 are thematic based, so looking at the defining features of the downtown, the surrounding neighborhoods. Chapter 4 looks at the land use and development of the downtown and surrounding neighborhoods. Chapter 5 is urban design, and Chapter 6 evaluates multimodal and transportation initiatives. And so then I'm going to focus just briefly on Chapter 7. So Chapter 7 looked specifically at development opportunity sites. We, being staff in the steering committee, identified about 17 in the study area. Many of these are either, well, not many, they are either vacant buildings, buildings with vacant upper story space, they're vacant parking lots, they're underutilized parking lots, underutilized buildings, and then there was a couple of buildings that were just functionally obsolete due to the market or the construction of the building. And then the project honed in on 3 different sites, and our team called it catalyst sites, because if they were to redevelop, they would really transform the surrounding area and be catalytic for the downtown. And those would be City Hall, the BMO Harris drive-through bank site, and then Lyons Lumberyard site. So I'm just going to briefly give you some images that show this. So this is what a conceptual plan for what this very property would look like if this were something different. This is thinking about this site as a 7-story mixed-use building, so the commercial space would be on the main level, and then residential units above with some terrace amenities, and then also contemplates a river walk. And then this gives a little flavor using different architectural styles and building forms about what that could look like on the ground. B2 shows a little bit what that riverfront could look like if it was transitioned. And then the BMO Bank drive-through site. I will also mention that 2015 downtown plan identified this as a redevelopment site for mixed-use development. So this project took that original identification of that concept a little bit further, and again contemplates a 5-story mixed-use building with parking behind and some terrace amenities. Again, a little visual example of what that could look like with different building forms and styles. And then finally, we looked at the Lions Lumberyard site. So this site morphed beyond just what property the city owns. It also looked at land owned by the Housing Authority from a former project that had been torn down. It also looked at sort of functionally obsolete industrial land in the area and land that our project partners, the Regional Transportation Authority and Metro own. So the building closest to the railroad tracks, being the Metro Rock Island line to the north, is 6 stories, residential above and commercial below, an interior parking deck. It contemplates that being used by not just residences and commercial users, but also riders who would put their car there for the day and then pick it up at later, and then the people cycle different shifts. And then the pale yellow shows how this concept plan would step down in terms of density. So then you have more of what you would consider a single-family attached, or what we call townhome style units, getting more when you get more towards the Eastern Avenue residential area. And again, this little visual flavor of what that would look like. So C3 and C6 would be more of that townhouse style of development as you would scale down towards Osgood and Eastern Avenue. And then the last chapter, chapter 8, is the implementation chapter. So every chapter had policy considerations, and so this chapter puts them all together. There is 73 recommended action steps, and I am not going to go through every one of them. I'm just going to show you visually what they look like. So this is the matrix that identifies the 73 recommended action items, and it identifies what priority the city staff, along with the steering committee, thought they deserved, and an estimated timeline for completion, as well as our key departments and partners. And that is the highlights of the plan, and I'm happy to take any questions.
It looks like one of the big things that we have to do is update and change some of our zoning in order for this to be allowed, correct?
Yes.
And have we applied for a grant to get help on that too?
Yes, so we did, and we have been awarded, I think it's $30,000 or $35,000 from the Regional Transportation Authority to implement the zoning recommendations that they are waiting. So we got the award letter, and they're waiting to see how the city council then responds to this plan. But we do have funding lined up to begin implementation of the zoning should the council choose to adopt this plan.
This doesn't really put together, at this point, a number of how many residents this could include if we were to do all this plan, does it?
No, we don't have a number.
We're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I continue to talk about the water that we're going to need to put
Right.
250,000 people in.
Well, there's an interesting map, which I don't have on the screen right with this part of the presentation, but it does show the lack of housing in the downtown. So it spatially represents the housing that is surrounding it, but it shows the lack. So you could really, and then you put that with the properties that we know have opportunity. And again, we think there's opportunity with this plan as a guiding policy framework.
I know when we had those 4 pretty good sized developers out here from Chicago, there was a lot of interest in this opportunity. But we still had some steps to take, which was amending some of the zoning and giving them an easier map to come in and work with. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here from the meetings I've been in.
I agree.
Mayor,
Yeah, Joe.
I know you and I spoke, this is exactly what our discussion was, you know, not only other municipalities are doing this, and you can see it, for example, Lamont. It's a huge project, maybe we don't go that big, but something along those lines.
Yes.
We need
Yep.
more housing, so. Yep.
Step by step, we're going to
Mayor, I just want to
get there.
make a comment also. Yeah, I think it's we definitely need more residents living downtown, and I think the downtown area is the best opportunity. And I think looking at this study and attending a lot of the meetings, being a part of the committees, and seeing that feedback from the residents as well, it's a great opportunity, and especially being able to just catch a train and go to work anywhere outside and come back and live in downtown. So I think it's a good opportunity for us.
Mayor, can I say something? So 30 years ago, I worked in downtown Naperville, when I was pregnant with my son, who will be 29 years old this year. So 29 years ago in downtown Naperville, they had the Fifth Avenue train station, which included a lot of mixed use. They had wonderful coffee shops and restaurants and candy shops, and then their upper levels were all housing 30 years ago. So I would love to see Joliet to catch up to something like that. I think it would be so amazing for downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Any other questions, comments?
Thanks, Jane. Great job.
Okay. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to speak under citizens to be heard on agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Next, we will have the city manager review tomorrow night's actionable items.
Okay, we will have appointments to the Tree Advisory Board, reappointment to the Joliet Art Commission, and an appointment to the Joliet Arts Commission. We'll also hear from the Finance and Public Service Committees. Consent agenda, invoices to be paid. Then Council Memo 39625, award of contract for DACRA software renewal. DACRA is the software we use for our citations, and so it's a yearly renewal for that software. Council Memo 39725, award of business continuity grant for the total amount of $33,033.88 to the Chicago Street Pub. Councilman Hug asked that we take this out of the consent agenda and put it on the regular agenda, so you will see that reflected tomorrow for the agenda. Council Memo 39825, approval of purchase of one hazmat specific truck assembly from Marshall Chevrolet for the fire department hazmat team in an amount not to exceed $86,000. Council Memo 39925, approval of change order number 1 for the 2024 lift station replacement program, Benton Lift Station and Greenfield Lift Station on behalf of Aries Construction, Inc., for a deduction in the amount of $9,884.33, and payment number 5 and final in the amount of $161,877.02. Moving on to agenda items, Council Memo 40125 was moved to the agenda from the consent, so Councilman Moreno can recuse himself because it does have to do with Austin Tyler Construction. So it's approval of change order number 1 for the DeKalb Street Dora Avenue roadway project to Austin Tyler Construction for a deduction in the amount of $24,552.88. And payment estimate number 5 and final in the amount of $19,785.61. Licenses and permit applications. We will have a liquor license for Fry the Coop and for the new Hollywood Casino, and I'll let Oak talk about those.
Mayor, City Council, item number 403-25 is an application for the issuance of a Class C liquor license for Fry the Coop at 2611 West Jefferson Street. A Class C license authorizes the sale of alcohol beverages at a restaurant or hotel for consumption on premise. The restaurant has several locations and partners with a small craft beer company, Pipeworks, and would like to include the sale of their beers with the meals. Liquor Commissioner is recommending approval. Item number 404-25 is an application for the issuance of a Class B liquor license for Joliet Boulevard at 1401 Gateway Boulevard. A Class B license authorizes the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumptions on the premise. This is a food court type setup at the new Hollywood Casino. This would allow customers to have an alcoholic beer with their meals. The Commissioner is recommending approval of this license. Any questions?
Will there be wine?
I believe so, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Oak. Rounding out license and permit applications, Council Memo 40525, an application for a drive-through permit for a Jack in the Box restaurant at 2307 Jefferson Street. On to ordinances, Council Memo 40725, ordinance approving a variation of use to allow a 2-unit residence in the R2A single-family residential zoning district located at 309 Stryker Avenue. The zoning board did recommend approval 5-0, and Councilwoman Ibarra is in support. Resolutions, Council Memo 40925, resolution approving the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Joliet and the Joliet Job Corps Center. So last meeting, Councilman Clement talked about this and asked the chief about it. So if there's any questions, we can have the chief speak to it, or if everyone remembers it, we can move on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought Joliet Job Corps was closing. It's not closing anymore. It's now.
No, not if we're entering into intergovernmental agreement. Do you know anything about that, Chief?
No, I don't. I know that it's a redundant agreement, so every year we do sign it. So I assume that they're up and running.
Okay, thank you.
We'll find out. You think that they're closing?
Yeah, I definitely heard that. Did
closing.
not everybody
They're
else
closing.
hear that?
I did hear that as well.
Okay, so we might have to hold on this for
It's irregardless
tomorrow.
of that. I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything they have with the police department, but I'm pretty sure the last I heard they were closing. Thank you.
No problem. We'll get you an answer tomorrow before the meeting.
Okay.
Council Memo 41025, resolution adopting the Downtown Joliet Equitable Transit-Oriented Development Plan that Jane just presented to us on. Council Memo 41125, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the I-80 at Center Street Interchange Improvement Project. So I'm going to have Greg Ruddy talk about this. This is a total of an $88 million investment in Joliet and project that will be paid for by IDOT. So I just want to give Greg to give a little background on it, because we'll be responsible for costs of the emergency vehicle preemption equipment, which is $16,100, and that's just like when our emergency vehicles are running through lights, they turn green for them. So we'll be responsible for that amount of money, but it's a total project cost of $88 million that IDOT's paying for. So Greg, could you give us a quick overview?
Sure. This is one of a number of contracts for the I-80 corridor improvements. They're extending from Minooka all the way to New Lenox, a total of about 16 miles. The last numbers I saw, which are probably a little bit outdated, but it was going to be a $1.3 billion investment by the state in the I-80 corridor. Involves reconstructing or rehabbing 30 bridges along that whole corridor, including the Des Plaines River Bridge, which is going to be the last piece of the project that'll be done, I think, for completion in '29. But as it relates to the Center Street interchange, if you're familiar with that interchange now, it's kind of a spaghetti bowl of bridges and ramps. I'm not quite sure how that design was ever arrived at, but they're going to simplify the design there. The geometry's a little bit unique, but it's similar to a standard interchange. It's going to be a little bit offset, but it'll be reduced to one bridge, basically. Center Street's sometimes referred to as Rayner Avenue because that's the only alignment of Rayner Avenue, but that'll be going over I-80 there, and then you'll have ramps coming off to access. So no access will be lost there. It's just going to be reconfiguring the design to a more standard design. As the city manager stated, it's an $88 million total project estimate. The city's responsible for $16,000 of that for the emergency vehicle preemption on the traffic signals there. There'll be traffic signals at the ramps coming off the interstate. Those will be maintained by IDOT, but we will be responsible to pay for the maintenance and the installation of the EVP devices there.
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, and then the next agenda item, Council Memo 41225, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the I-80 at Center Street Interchange Improvement Project. This one is from our Public Utilities Director, Allison Swisher. We've contracted with V3 Companies and RJN Group for utility design relocation for this project, and IDOT will reimburse us 100% of that as well. Council Memo 41325, resolution approving and authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Joliet and IAFF Local 2369. So after several months of negotiation, the city and IAFF Local 2369, which is our supervisors in the fire department, have reached an agreement as to the collective bargaining being brought before the council for consideration and includes the following significant terms. A 4-year term from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2028 with wage increases of 3.25% in 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028. We'll be converting the paramedic stipend from a lump sum to a percentage of base wages with an average of 3% increase spread out over 4 years. We've expanded residency to include within a 50-mile radius of the intersection of Essington Road and Jefferson Street to mirror what we did for Local 44. New or revised language on various operational issues, including staffing on a variety of equipment, radius for training, travel pay, grievance timelines, and eligibility, promotion, and discipline for 40-hour positions were also considered in this agreement. So it's very similar to what we just passed last week for 44. And we worked really well with the firefighters and got it done collectively pretty quickly. So they're happy, we're happy. Any questions? Happy Kevin and I can try to answer. Okay, that's the end of the agenda. And good news, no closed session tonight.
We just have public comment left. So if there's anyone who would like to address the council this evening.
Hello. I am Natalie Coleman, resident of Joliet. I'm on the fire and police board. I came here early. I was like, oh, I'm in the wrong place. It's across the street. But I decided to come back and stay because for public comment. I've had the pleasure of working at the River Walk Home for the last 4 months, working with students, teaching them about STEAM and engineering and things of that nature. And last week, one of the employees said to me, there's no working bathroom here. I said, what do you mean there's no working bathroom? It's a community center, which I wasn't aware of. But people can come in. There's a few computers. There's a refrigerator. But the bathroom situation has really struck a chord with me because I find it pretty indecent and inhumane. There's 2 toilets. One that works does not have a seat and is constantly being used. No one's cleaning it. I did write to the hosting group, if I'm saying that correct. And I don't like having to come before the council about this. This should be a basic thing, right? If you have a community center that's open, then there should be a bathroom for the community to use when they enter it. There were 12 seniors there in wheelchairs for a program today when I was leaving. I was there this morning. And I'm thinking to myself, if they have to use the restroom, where are they going to go? The employees that are there, they live in the community, they live in the apartments over there. They're leaving their job to go back home to use the restroom. And so if I could fix it, I would, but I can't. And so I know the city has some part or some say it has to be some type of ordinance or code that is not being kept. And these young people are already in an area that's looked down upon. And there's various reasons for that. But what I see is some bright kids who deserve better facilities. And so if someone could just look into that, I would greatly appreciate it because I'm there the next 3 weeks. And when I leave, I would like to know that when people come, when the young people come for the other programs they have, because we're doing just a few hours a week, but they're there all week. And saying we put in for it to be fixed and it's been like this for over a month is unacceptable. So I just hope someone can look into that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will look into it. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Trista Brown, and I'll be quick because it's 4 minutes. I first, again, want to thank Todd. Thank you. I appreciate you guys following up every time a citizen will call with some concerns. Also, I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank the fire department for helping with the family on the search. And I encourage anybody that's listening, please join that search team. We need more people. But what I'm here for is one of our residents, and he has trouble speaking because he don't have his voice, and he wanted me to come and speak for him. He's been a resident over at the Joliet Plaza downtown, and he's been having all kinds of, well, he's been there over 3.5 years, and I think I put in an incident report a while ago, maybe almost 3 months ago. Their elevator has been out. This man has been on life support, all kinds of things, and I don't know if you're aware that that elevator has not been working for over 3 months. And I still, again, want to thank, again, the fire department. They come, they've been checking on him for me. I've really been following up with him, trying to find him a place, but it's just gotten so unbearable that right now he was in the hospital just last week. There still is no elevator. He talked to Sarah and all the people who are over that. I think it's a disgrace on that plaza down there. There's many people who are scared to come forward because they don't have any other place to go. They don't qualify. But having an elevator for people who are having all these disabilities, and we just awarded someone last week with about disabilities. It's important that we make sure that we're looking out. And I do let you know that I do try to make sure I go to all your departments, and I do know that in the neighborhood service and inspector, they also went there, right? So you guys are doing that part. But at the end of the day, you may have your fire department out there for a casualty. So I think we need to keep following up with that plaza. People do not like to come forward. But this guy right now, I am working with him right now with Joshua Arms, trying to find a place, but everybody knows it is very hard. And he struggles. He struggled to even come here today. He tried to come last week when we were here, but it was just hard again for him. So I asked again if somebody could still follow up at that plaza. There is no elevator. I do know these are old buildings, so just to say that they're having a hard time finding a park. But again, I got to look out. We're looking out for our residents, and they're having a hard time. They cannot walk up them stairs, and he stays on the 3rd floor. So I just want you to be aware there is a lot of residents that can't just get here. They can't even give it a call. That's why the different teams or different people on these organizations have to be listening to these residents so that we can intervene and see what we can do to help. So his name is Larry Irving. Please remember his name. If he could speak, right now he had been on a ventilator, so his voice, his box is kind of messed up there. But I just want you to still be aware there's a lot of people downtown and that resident down there are having a lot of problems with that plaza. So thank you for taking time. Hey, still got 1 minute and 7 seconds for speaking with 3 subjects. Again, thank you again, Todd. They called me. Thank you again over there. He's been modest over there, but I tell you, and Mayor, thank you again for always answering the call. Thank you, Susanna, for being involved, and I appreciate all of you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening? Okay, seeing none, there is no request for closed session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.